Welcome to the Red Dirt Comedy Show, where real life meets real laughs, Red Dirt style. And now, your host, comedian William Lee Martin.
And welcome in, everybody. My guest today is a firefighter turned actor, or actor turned firefighter, one or the other. But it's Brad Wisdom. Thanks for coming in, Brad.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So I always start out the show with the same question, and it's a pretty simple one because it is Red Dirt Comedy. What or who makes you laugh, and why? Now, it can be a joke, it could be a person, it could be, growing up or who you work with.
I would say I've always liked a good funny story. Just a good setup, a good funny story, one that's true, something out of everyday life, or a good stand-up. I like watching stand-up.
Who's your favorite stand-up?
I'd have to go with George Carlin.
Wow. You know what? I was actually thinking I was in the room. I thought I was in the room. George Carlin is dead. And the guy that brought him into the podcast is here. And you set him up. I set him up as easy as I could.
Well, to be fair, I will say you were the first stand-up I've ever watched live.
Okay. So that sounds weird.
And absolutely the best I've seen live.
Okay, so it might be the only that you've seen live.
No.
Okay.
I've seen some more. But I actually saw you on a cruise ship several times.
No kidding. So Carnival? Yeah, that's the only ships that I did. Do you remember did you come to the adult show? Did you come to the...
We did both.
Yeah. How long ago was it?
It would have been 3-4 years ago, maybe.
Oh, it had to be longer than that because I quit doing it at pandemic.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it was definitely. It would have been pre-pandemic. I'm trying to think of what year it was. Maybe 18.
Wow. Yeah. So I'd cleaned up the act. Every time I say I cleaned up, it sounds like I got off of drugs. I've never done drugs. I cleaned up the act in 2016. So my adult show wasn't really R-rated or anything else. But now I was a big Carlin fan and still am. When people put a Mount Rushmore out there of comedians, most people put him in there. Do you have 4 on a Mount Rushmore? That's kind of a tough deal, yeah, for comedy, especially because you're not a comic.
Yeah, I would say I liked Richard Pryor's stuff.
Sure.
I wasn't allowed to watch Carlin or him until I was way older, but I liked him, Carlin. I like Dave Chappelle. Yeah, I like him. I didn't, discover him till later, but I really like listening to him. What would another one be? Let's put you on there. We'll put you as number 4.
Okay, well that's a now that's a kiss up because on my Mount Rushmore, forever I would have Cosby on there until obviously Cosby did what Cosby did, and it's funny when you look at the way that Cosby was in real life, and then the secret life that he had, that apparently wasn't so secret in Hollywood. And then, wow, that changed. But let's talk about you though. You got such a great, cool story because you're a firefighter, right? For the Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. How long have you been a firefighter?
Total 16 years. About to start my 16th year.
Really? Now where'd you start?
Started off in the big city of Kennedale.
Okay.
And I loved working there. It was fun. We fought a lot of fire. Went to cities around us to fight fire, and we were all close. We had to be because there was just 5 guys per day. We didn't have a station 2 or 3. It was just us.
Right.
And you had to be close. And after a few years, I promoted to driver, and I loved it. And a few years into it, I decided to go to a little bit bigger city, and just kind of, looking at dollar signs. And I learned a valuable lesson in that money's not going to make you happy, because I was happy already. And so I kind of was at a turning point.
Where'd you go?
What city? City of Grapevine.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of good dudes there. It's a good place. I just miss fighting fire. You know, I miss doing the job. My dad was a fireman. My grandpa was a fireman.
So, but if you go to Grapevine as a firefighter, did they not just get a lot of fires there? Or
Not many.
do we need to set more? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Those guys, they make them happy. No, a lot of good people there. It just, it was something that I thought it was going to be one thing, and it wasn't. You know, and I still keep in touch with a few of those guys. And but I just, you know, like growing up in it with my dad and my grandpa.
So your grandfather was wow.
Yeah, he was in Garland, retired as a captain. My dad started off in the city of McKinney. We're from that area, and he got hired as the fire chief in Burleson in was it 98 or so, and we moved down here to Burleson. And I was just around it. Spent my summers hanging out at the fire station and jumping on calls if I could, or you know, just being around it. And it really is a great job. I love it. But I really am drawn to the old school part of firefighting and kind of how things were when they were on the job.
Right.
And so I decided I'd always want to work for Fort Worth, and I applied 2 or 3 times and made it all the way through, and they would either cancel the class due to budget or something. And this would have been 2010 or 12, somewhere in there. And I said, I'm going to give it one more go. And I did, and I got hired. And it has not disappointed.
No kidding.
My first shift out at the academy, because I had to go through fire academy again. My first shift out, I think we had three working fires in one day. And of course I was whooped. I'm tired, but I was smiling from ear to ear, you know. And of course the guys, you know, like, oh, we do this every day, you know.
Wow.
We don't do that every day.
Yeah, because you actually know my next door neighbor.
I do.
My next door neighbor, and Rob.
Yeah.
And he's Captain Rob, I guess.
He is.
You guys. Yeah, he's a fire captain.
Yeah.
And he also has 7 children.
He does.
And so I always joke with him and his wife, it's always good to see them upright, you know. And they're not. I don't think they're Catholic either. I
don't think so.
I think they just have poor rhythm methods. I told him, I said, I'd hate to see you kids dance.
Yeah, well, he's good as gold. We tried for years to get him to come over and be our captain whenever we would have a captain spot open up, and we finally got him. And then I promoted out of there and had to leave. And so I've been trying to get back over there to work with him. I don't know how much longer he's got till he retires.
No, he's wanting to, but, you know, I think he's waiting for all the kids to leave to get peace at home.
Yeah.
But now, you do the same kind of shift, the 24 on, 24 off, or 48 off?
48 off.
Yeah, 48 off. And so that's a tough gig. Now I didn't understand. You said I got promoted to driver, so they don't let you drive from the very beginning, huh?
They do. It is a rank though. So if the driver is off, usually a firefighter will step up and drive. Everyone kind of learns the position in front of them, you know. So
if the guy's off, are people hollering shotgun? Right?
Yeah, sometimes they'll fight over it. Some guys don't want to. Some guys want that nozzle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I like having the nozzle. That's what it's all about.
So, what's the most dangerous one that you've done?
Like dangerous call? Or,
yeah.
You know, I guess it would have been my second fire ever. We, you know, you go through fire academy, you have training fires and all that, and you think you know what to expect. My first fire was a big warehouse fire, and so it wasn't a lot of heat. It was all up high because it was a big building, and I thought I'm good to go. I'm not green anymore. I got this. And we caught a house fire one day. We're at Walmart shopping for groceries. It's on the other side of town. We haul butt to get over there, and there was a homeless guy squatting in this house, and he had left a candle or something burning, and it lit off. And it was just a real weird day. I was on overtime. It was a kind of a hodgepodge crew of people, and we'd all work together, but not very much. And we went in for attack, and it was hot. I mean, it was. I have yet to have a fire this hot.
Wow.
In 16 years, as that was. I mean, you're down into the carpet, and if you could get any lower, you would. And we were trying to make it to the back room, and we just couldn't do it. And we're running into something, keep running into stuff. Don't know what it was, but we can't get back there. And it got so bad we had to evacuate. By the time we did, we were ready. We were steaming. Everybody had steam coming off their helmets, and you know, I got some bubbles on my ear from that still. And we ended up going out. We had to hit it from the outside for a while and then go inside. But after we're in there cleaning up, there was nothing. There was nothing in our way. I don't know what we were running into. I can't explain it. But it was almost looking back like, was it divine intervention that we didn't get further off in there? You know, that one really, it every once in a while when you think you have the job figured out, you get it handed to you and you go, no, I don't. And that's why you respect the older guys that have been there a long time that admit, I ain't got it figured out. I'm still learning.
Wow.
Those are the guys you want to learn from.
You know, it's funny. Before you and I just met, we met online, obviously, and you sent me a thing on the email, but you said we'd met before, so we haven't had this conversation.
Right.
And it's not often that I'm like, God, I'm not a man in a conversation. But these are one of those I'm not a man conversations because I'm like, yeah, but today I cleaned the garage before I got here. And I really did. I really cleaned and organized the garage. And then I talked to a guy like you, and you guys are putting out fires and driving fire trucks. And do the old ladies call you just to get you to come there every once in a while?
We've had a few. We get called for any and everything, and I've gotten the proverbial cat out of the tree. I've helped.
Have you really?
Helped people unload their groceries. I mean, you name it. We've probably had to go do it.
Okay, so it's 5 o'clock traffic. Mm-hmm. Everybody's moving 8 miles an hour, and there's a fender bender. Why do we got to close 3 lanes for those 2 people?
Yeah, that's a good one. The freeway's probably the most dangerous thing we do by far.
Is it really?
I mean, when you look at fires, you look at rescues, you look at anything we do, that is I think one of the least controllable things we have. Like just because people fly around, they drive through your scene, and we get trucks hit all the time, drunk and sober people hitting them,
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of that's, just safety, just precaution. 3 lanes, I think, is a bit excessive. But if I was riding the seat that day, I might not shut 3 lanes down. I probably would.
They do it all the time.
But they do.
But we don't think of terms of idiots flying through there and coming through the scene and going around everybody and then going right in between you and the. I would imagine that's happened between the truck and the accident or whatever, people driving right in between those, unless y'all get them blocked off correctly.
Yeah.
Well, that's something. So now you've lived in the area your whole life. Single?
I'm married.
Married? How long you been married?
We've been married 6 years.
6 whole years.
Almost 7, yeah.
Now, children, are you like the Rob? How many we got?
I'm not like Rob. I 3 and done. 3 and done.
3 already, though, in 6 years.
Well, no. So I was married previously.
Okay.
And me and her still get along great.
Yeah.
And have a good relationship, But, I got 4, 10, and 19.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's gonna be a pilot. He's in flight school right now.
It's 19 years?
Yeah.
But you look 12.
Oh, I'm not 12. I'm not 12. Okay. Yeah. He was. I would say, I was young when I had him. But
how old are you? Can I ask?
Yeah, I'm 37.
Okay. Oh wow, you were young.
I was 18. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I have an ex-wife too, but I don't even. We get along really well. But I don't even call her an ex-wife. I call her the previous administration. And it makes it seem more formal.
It's formal.
It seems like we can get along. Let's get to the. You already have an amazing story being a firefighter, right? I mean, that's a cool job.
It's a lot of fun. I love it.
But then you start thinking, I want to do something else. So for those of you who don't know, Brad here also has started going into acting. And it really started with, like most people in Dallas and Fort Worth, with a Taylor Sheridan production.
Yeah.
So walk me through that process.
Well, it was honestly almost by accident. I'd always thought it'd be cool to be an actor. I've always loved movies, and I was always a reader. loved good stories, and always wanted to see what that was like, but I never pursued it. I didn't know where to go. In middle school, when you have to take drama, you have to take drama and music and art. I was terrified to get in front of people. I was terrified to be vulnerable or show feelings or any of that. And I went out for the school play once. I was so bad that they had me as the curtain guy. Didn't even want to see my face. But they were filming a show called 1883 down the road from my fire station, and I was watching them for weeks and weeks build these sets and everything. And every time we would drive through, because it's kind of tradition in that area, you catch a call in that area, you make a lap through the stockyards. People watch, and the tourists love it. They love taking pictures of the fire trucks and all that. And watching these things, and I keep seeing on Facebook, needing extras. And I had this big old mustache at the time that covered my mouth, and I was like, I could be a cowboy. I'll put in for a cowboy. And I did, and I got it. And so I was excited, waiting to start. And I got an email from the casting company that was doing the background casting for the show. And they said, hey, they want you as an immigrant, a Slavic immigrant. I said, what? I don't look like an immigrant. There's no. It's they want you as this. Yeah. They're going through photos, and they saw you, and they wanted you for this because they need more immigrants. So I don't know, man. I want to be a cowboy. This is Fort Worth. And they said, no, just trust me. I can't really tell you a whole lot about it, but you want to do this. Okay. Well, the first 2 days of filming, I don't know if you've seen the show 1883. Where they filmed. It was on a stage, but it was Sam Elliott and LaMonica Garrett's Pinkerton office. Well, I had COVID, and so I couldn't test negative to get back on set. So I missed the first 3 or 4 days of filming. I thought, well, this is over. That would have been a cool opportunity. And they start filming in the stockyards about 2 weeks later. They didn't use us very much, and we were deep background, but I still got to see everyone work. My first experience ever it was an outside shot, but they needed bodies inside. And we're standing there with our shirts off, just have gotten checked for smallpox. And that's when Sam's character throws this guy out of the front door. And so we're all in this crowded room, and it's like Sam Elliott. I can't help but stare. I mean, this guy's my hero. And I grew up sort of a Tim McGraw fan, like in the 90s, but I hadn't kept up with him. And he walks in. I was like, wow, it's Tim McGraw. That's cool. And he's pacing in front of us, just real serious like, and he just breaks down and just goes through and gives everybody a titty twister, that's him.
Just to kind of bring it up.
When it was time to be serious, he was very serious, but he is a really laid back, fun guy. Right. Always wanting to play catch with somebody. He's got a glove or a baseball. Just super down to earth guy. You wouldn't know he was famous, But we weren't seen very much in the stockyards, and I thought it was over. It's like, okay, well, that was a cool experience. Well, as I'm leaving, I get this sheet, and it's the next 5 months of dates. And I'm, what is this? And they said, well, this is your schedule. I said, man, I've got a job. Like, I can't do this, And so I think on it at home, and I'm an overthinker. I will overthink anything to death. Right. And for the first time in my life, I just said, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do it. So I did a lot of shift trades, took off vacation time, and I just did it. I worked on the weekends, and I can grow a beard pretty quick. So I ended up, I could shave before shift, and by the time I need to be back at set, I'm ready to go. And it was a heck of a ride. I learned so much because I didn't know anything about acting, nothing. And most of the other immigrants there's about 30 of us or so. They had all done stuff. They were already actors. They've been in movies. They've done things. I don't know my butt from a hole in the ground. I'm clueless. Wow. But after doing it every day and like watching all these actors that are at the top of their game, and watching, the crew and the directors and everyone that are at the top of their game, I was amazed. And it was a blur. It was like a 5-month blur. And there were two instances when I really said to myself, you need to do this. Like, this, I want to do this. And one was, it was about the third week of filming. Dawn Olivieri, her character had just lost her daughter. Her world's falling apart, and I was watching her prepare for the scene. And we had a really cool fight scene before that. It didn't make it. I was really disappointed. But, she just to watch her get into character, I'd never seen anything like that before. I was like, man, she just killed
What'd she
it.
do?
She would get the other actor to kind of just to almost fight with her to get her emotional, and I'd never seen that before. I didn't know what was going on, but it made sense when they started rolling the camera, and she did it take after take after take after take, and I'm like, man, how do you do that? So that was the first thing that made me really want to do it, and the last thing that made me for sure want to do it was I got to talk with Sam Elliott for a good 30 minutes, 45 minutes on the very last day of filming. Because you're not supposed to talk to the actors. Right. You're not supposed to ask for an autograph or a picture. They're working. You're working. Be professional. And there were times that you get to talk to them. They're going to talk to you, or you're standing by them. It's not a big deal. But as a rule, you don't want to seek them out. And I didn't. Usually it was just a good morning, sir. And there was once he got us crab cakes when it was overnight. It was pretty cool because we're not allowed to eat, the food that he's eating, what I mean?
Right. No, there's an extras table.
Oh yeah.
And craft services, and then there's talent. They'll call the other ones talent.
Oh yeah.
And the rest of us are just eating. Yeah.
And it was Gator, from Yellowstone, the cook, the chef, and he would cook for them every day, and it was an overnight shoot, and he said, "Hey y'all, you want some gumbo and crab cakes? Did you get some?" I said, "No, sir, I don't think those are for us." And he goes, "You want some crab cakes?" I like to have crab cake, yeah. and here he comes. He talks to a guy, and he comes down the hill with some gumbo and crab cakes. Just little interactions with him throughout. He was always really cool. I mean, really nice guy. And the last day, I just been killed off. So I'm going home the next day, and.
With a gun or?
No, it's really off camera. We almost filmed all of that, and we kind of ran out of time. But I was part of the group that gets left behind. The guy gets accused of stealing, and we get left behind, and then we get shot at by bandits overnight, and all that. And so I knew I was going home the next day, and I'd been carrying around this challenge coin from my fire department, and it was mine. It was from the honor guard. If you're in the honor guard, you get a special coin, and that doesn't go anywhere. That's yours. It's not one you want to trade away. But I asked our commander, I said, "Hey, can I give this to Sam Elliott?" He goes, "You bet, do it." And so I've been waiting to do this the whole time. And I go up and talk to him. I said, "Mr. Elliott." He's like, "Yeah." And he looked like he was about to leave. And I said, "Sir," I said, "It's been an honor working with you. This is my last day on set. And I just want to shake your hand and say, thanks. I've never seen anything like this." He doesn't shake my hand. He comes in for a big old man hug, which I wasn't expecting. So, and I was going to leave. I just wanted to say thank you and everything. And I said, "This is a challenge coin from my fire department. We wanted you to have." And gave me another man hug, real appreciative of it. And I was going to kind of leave, and because I didn't want to get in trouble or anything like that. He just kept talking. He said, "So, how long you been a fireman?" And we just talked. And it was really cool because he said, my first gig was a background gig, and it was on Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid. And I was like, yeah. He said, "You just see my ear, but I was there." And so I had to ask him, "Well, what was that like working with, Redford and Newman?" And he was like, "Well, it was really cool." He said, "The best thing," he said, "I met my wife on it, he married, Catherine Ross later on." So we talked for a while, and he said, "Are you ever going to do this again? You can keep acting." And I wanted to say, absolutely, as soon as I can, but I didn't, I don't know, maybe I was trying to play it cool. I don't know. And I said, "I don't know. Maybe." And he gets serious, and he's a pretty soft-spoken guy in real life, but this was the real Sam Elliott voice. "Why not?" Real serious. I didn't have an answer. And I said, "You know what?" I said, "You're right. Why not?" And he was like, "There you go. Why not?" So we shook hands, and I go to walk off, and he says, "Hey, have we got a picture?" "No, we hadn't got a picture." He's like, "Well, you got your phone?" "Yes, sir, I do." He goes, "Well, get it out." And he tells this other guy, "Hey, get our picture." And so I'm, in front of everybody now, and I'm like, God, they're going to think I asked for this picture. I'm going to get fired. And we took a picture, and It was really cool. He did not disappoint. You always hear, don't meet your heroes because they'll let you down. But he exceeded, what I thought he was. Really class act. Really good guy.
So that takes you into, hey, maybe I should do it. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do next?
The whole way home, I'm thinking that question. Because we were at the 4-6's ranch filming this. And so if you've ever been, I'm sure you've driven through that area. There's nothing to see between here and there.
Oh, long drive too.
And I'm just thinking the whole way home, what do I do next? Like, do I go to acting school? What do I do? And so I get home and I look up, actor studios in Fort Worth, and Fort Worth Actor Studio comes up. And I was nervous, I didn't know what to expect. And so I sign up, start classes, and they were awesome. Still are awesome. I still go there. And they just kind of took me in, taught me this and that, and it's hard, and you're gonna suck when you start. You just are.
Right.
There's a few that are really naturals at it, and I will say I had maybe a slight natural ability, but everyone else in my class were just worlds above me. I was like, man, they're great. How am I ever gonna get there? But it comes with time, and it comes with not getting nervous in front of people, and kind of just getting used to being under pressure, and so I still take. I was there last night. I still take class there, and
so what's classes like? What do you do?
It depends.
Do they give you a scene and you come back and you do that?
Yeah.
Are they doing it for camera? Are they doing it for stage?
Mainly for camera. But there's some special classes you can take, commercial classes you can take. The first thing you do is like an introduction. It teaches you kind of how to audition, the etiquette of how things go, because there's really kind of no written down, like at the fire service, everything's written down that you need to do. Okay, I need to learn this, and here's how I get to my goal. That business, it's not. There's just kind of almost like word of mouth. Like, this is how we audition. This is how we slate for the camera. This is where we look. And so you learn that, and you learn enough to start auditioning, basically.
So you start taking acting classes, and then you move on to auditioning?
Yeah. I still worked a few other background projects in there. I worked on The Chosen, and I worked on Bass Reeves.
Okay, I got a question for Bass Reeves. Mm-hmm. Now, most people don't know that that's supposed to be the Lone Ranger story, right? Mm-hmm. So he gave us one season of a black Lone Ranger, and we never got to Tonto. What happened?
I don't know. I don't know.
He's got that one answer. That's if I have only one complaint with Taylor Sheridan Productions, is that I feel like they don't finish the stories. Like they rush to the ends on them because they'll get 2 good seasons, 3 good seasons. The Lone Ranger one was literally 1 season. I guess that's all they were going to do is just 1 season.
I think so. And they did it. They called it, lawmen. Bass Reeves. So I don't know if he's going to go into other lawmen in the future or something
like they used to do with the old book series. So we're just going to carry that guy, and then maybe Wyatt Earp or any of those kind of things.
Which would be cool. I can grow a good mustache. Just saying, I can be your Wyatt Earp.
Well, I've done some of the auditioning as well, and I was up for a role on, and I talk about it on stage right now, a role on Law and Order SVU.
Okay.
So my agent in New York called me and said, I've got this great opportunity, blah, 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 blah. And it's nerve-wracking. A lot of people don't know that you're just in a big empty room by yourself, a camera, and somebody's feeding you the lines, and that's auditioning.
It is nerve-wracking. It is. Yeah. And now, I say now, I got into this sort of pre-COVID, time where, we were taught how to audition. And then during COVID, it changed to self-tape. And I kind of like the in-person better.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks, self-tapes, you can do it until you get it right or perfect. But that's also the bad thing. So can everybody else.
Yeah.
And so being able to control your nervousness and getting in there and just nailing it. And then when you're done, it's over.
Besides that, that's what I was going to go with. Once it's over, it's over.
It's over.
And you don't have to look at it. You don't have to go, I wonder if should I?
Yeah.
How should I? Why did I hold my hand up like that?
Mm-hmm.
that
It's
kind of
hard.
thing.
And self-tapes now, at first, I feel like they were kind of lenient. Casting directors were kind of lenient on the quality because, you use a phone and probably not any lighting, maybe just the mic on your phone. But now, that kind of makes a difference. They want to see, they want to hear, they want it to be good quality. And so that's part of it too, is when you get an audition, you got to set your lighting up. You got to set get a lapel mic or get it mic'd somehow, make sure it looks good. And then once you're done with the setup, well, now you got to act. So it's hard you have to be kind of part video expert, lighting expert, sound expert. I'm not saying it's not going to get you the part, but I will say the casting directors, I've heard more and more lately that they want a good tape.
Yeah, it's just one other hurdle that people also use to say, well, I can't do this because I don't know how to do. And you can figure all that stuff out. That's, there's a big part of me that talks all the time, and you're doing what I give advice every night on stage about. So what I talk about on stage is the commas. So like when you die, there's going to be your name, your date of birth, your date of death, and then they're going to start listing stuff on there. Husband, father, mother, sister, Christian, Jewish, whatever. Then they'll start listing occupations, and they're all each divided by a comma. So for you, firefighter, driver of the truck, but then actor, extra, those commas, the more commas that you see after somebody's name, the less common of a life that they lived. And I think it's important to add as many commas as you possibly want to add in your life. And I think most people, when you see people who are miserable in their lives, to me, those are the people that stopped putting commas after anything.
Yeah.
Just stop living. And sometimes you got to realize, not you, people in general, that in order to live, you got to go for these things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are you waiting on? So in your drive home, the great thing about that is, and you may not have realized it, you had an opportunity to get quiet.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're asking yourself, what do you want to do? That drive home is also, just like what you were talking about with the firefighter and not letting you go in. Sometimes what we don't see is what God puts in front of you. And that drive home, that's quiet. That's a long time to drive. And if you just turn off the radio and the television and the phone and all those distractions and you get quiet, you can find answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love the fact that you're going for it. So, okay, so now we've gone from an extra to acting classes. Speaking parts, have we gotten one yet?
Yeah, I had a couple.
I knew because I looked it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the business is, I keep hearing this. It's since I started. The business is kind of volatile right now, and actors that are normally leading parts or co-stars are taking roles that maybe I would be going for and things like that. And so it's a very weird time, I feel. So a lot of the first big speaking part I had was for a movie with Matthew McConaughey. And this, like, I just got an agent. This is the first big audition I get. Most of them are in this area, commercials, but this one really, I was like, man, this would be a good opportunity. And they wanted a firefighter for the part. And I'm thinking, man, this is perfect. This is maybe that thing. Right. Because for a lot of actors, they need that one thing. Like, they speak this language, or they just need this really narrowed down, attributes for somebody. I was like, this is it. And I gave it everything I had. And I learned a valuable lesson, though, is you can drive yourself crazy, checking your email, talking to your agent. Have you heard anything back? Right. And I didn't get it. But I looked up the guy who did get it, and he had been in about as much as I had. So I was kind of, this, I may have had a shot at least. At least they didn't go with, Brad Pitt or somebody, for this part. And so it kind of put it in perspective. It's like, okay, how can I get better? How can I, so I got with my coach, I got with some people at the studio. I was like, okay, what do you think about this audition? And I'm kind of always tweaking stuff, trying to figure out, what does casting want, and it's not really the right approach. What do they want? You be you, and if they like you, they'll cast you. That's the secret.
What I learned with this SVU, so I've gone through a big weight loss program, soda weight loss. So I didn't do any of the Ozempic, and I didn't do any of the. I did it with diet and exercise. So I lost 51 pounds.
Good.
And so then I get this audition, and again I talk about it on stage. I felt great in the audition. I'm looking at what my wife's actually feeding me the lines. But it was not for a good guy, okay? And it was Law and Order, and I asked my agent, I said, am I a good guy or a bad guy? And they're like, well, all the good guy parts are already taken. So they sent it to me, and it was worse than I thought. It was, I don't even like saying, it was RAPE, okay?
That'd be tough.
And when I first read it, I was like, why couldn't it be murder? I could kill anybody. I have no problem killing anybody.
Right.
Killing's a lot in the Bible.
Yeah.
So, get on the freeway and I have no problem killing anybody. But now, it's morally objectable, and I have 4 daughters as well. So, and if this is going to be my first big break, and I ask people about it, and I joke all the time on stage about it. When I ask my wife about it, she's like, "Well, how much does it pay?" And when I told her what it pays initially and what it would make in syndication, my agent told me what it would make, and she's like, "Rape them all, do them all." So
that's gonna be tough, though. That would be.
Well, when I read for the part and everything else, I felt good about what I'd finally get. I didn't look sweaty. I thought, man, now I look like an actor. I submitted, and I didn't get it, right? But you can see the episode. It's about a Texas guy who owns a helicopter company in New York, and he's flying people from Manhattan to Martha's Vineyards. And there's an insurance company that's trying to get his business, and they offer up this girl as incentive for them to sign. So, but when the guy walks out, Brad, he looks like me before I lost all the weight. He was sweaty, 270,
Yeah.
And my wife literally points at the camera, at the TV, and goes, "That's you before you lost the weight." And I talked to the agent, and the one thing I learned from it is that you'll drive yourself nuts trying to figure out what a casting agent's looking for. You don't know what they're looking for. So I saw this thing with Tom Hanks, him talking about it. I think it was Tom Hanks, but he talked about the audition is the part of acting.
The job, yeah.
The acting part is the gravy part.
That's play day. That's holiday.
And that's why that's why I've always looked at stand up. For me, with stand up comedy, the jokes are always free. I get paid for travel. I get paid to leave my house, not be with my family, to ride on airplanes with people who aren't nice anymore, to do all those things. So so I love the idea that you've really taken it, but don't let that stuff also drive you insane.
Yeah, you can't,
because you can't guess. I always have this story when I was doing stand up. I had this a crowd that was very contentious, right? They didn't pay attention to me at all, that kind of stuff. This was, 25 years ago. And I walked off stage, and the guy that booked it, and I was working squeaky clean at the time, and he goes, "Those guys wanted dick jokes, okay? I don't know any other, but," and I go, "I don't do them." And he goes, "Well, you got to look at the crowd and give them what they want." And I told him right then, I said, "I want to get my career to where people are coming to see me and not me go see the crowd."
Yeah.
And that's what little advice I can give you about acting is that to hell with all the casting directors. Put out what you actually think is your best work, and then if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. My daughter once asked me, because she wants to be an actress, and she got a role in a small budget, but it's now on Amazon Prime, a faith-based movie. But when she was little, when she was, well, not little, she'd been trying to write her own stuff and everything else since she's like 6.
Wow.
And I mean, I've encouraged it. And then she was a freshman or sophomore, and she had gotten the lead roles in all the plays, right, all through school. And then she told me one day, she said, "Dad, I want to be an actress." And I said, "Well, sweetie, I hate to break it to you, but you got to ask the universe for more than you are, because you already are an actress. Mm-hmm. Now what you need to ask the universe to give you is a paid actress."
Yeah.
So you have to change that prayer. So I don't know.
There is something about that, though.
But you have to, if you say, like, Brad, if you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you go, "I want to be an actor. That's all I want to be is an actor." Guess what? You are an actor.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be very specific on what you're. So do I want to be a paid actor? Do I want to be in the talkies?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So, but I love the idea. Now you have an IMDb page, right?
I do.
Clay, can you pull up his IMDb page? Yeah, because we looked up your IMDb page. First of all, sultry eyes, huh? Come on. You kidding me? And then, but I wanted to point out your star meter on IMDb is 439,407. Wait, okay, now pull up mine. You're beating me by 20,000 on the star meter. So I'm at 459,108. I don't know how they came up with this, but
I've never been able to figure it out. To be honest,
you're
I don't
killing me.
Because it'll go into the millions, and then it'll come into, like, you know, the 100,000s, and then it'll go. I've even looked it up, and I still can't explain to you how it works.
Well, go back to Brad's again. And then scroll up a little bit. Let's see his featured media there. Shadow of a King. Mm-hmm. And then Vindication. Now, where are these running?
So Vindication is on, you can watch it on Prime, but it's on PureFlix.
Yeah.
It's a faith-based show.
Yeah.
And that one was really cool. I was already a fan of the show and watched it. And that was the only in-person audition I ever had. And I booked it. Now, they had us read for different parts, but they were booking us off of that. And I had like maybe 4 or 5 lines turned to maybe 3 lines. But, and really it wasn't anything that was wrong. It was just, hey, this makes more sense. Let's just maybe not ask this question since we already know the answer. So, but that was a cool experience. That was my second speaking part. Actually, well, technically my third. The first speaking part I ever had was the Shadow of a King. A friend of mine, Daniel Cole, he did kind of a proof of concept of the story of David, and this was before the David one came out on Prime, you know.
Right.
But it did a really good job on it, and I was happy to be a part of it. And then I did a movie, From Hood to Good. That one was it's a faith-based film, and it's the guy that wrote it, it's a true story. He wrote it in a book, and he kind of grew up in gangs and drugs and things like that, and went to prison and found God, and he's really, really nice guy. I got to meet him, and I had a few lines on that. It ended up, the scene changed drastically to what it was versus when we filmed it, so I'm not in it as a whole lot, but yeah, Vindication was one that I was really happy to be a part of. That one, they have such a good crew that works on that, and they work quick, which is not always the case. Usually not the case. Usually, when you go to film a scene, it's half a day for something real simple. Sure. But the way they work, they're just that good. They don't, they make your job as an actor easy. And Jared O'Flaherty directs that and writes that, and it's a really good show. It's kind of a detective show, kind of it's faith based, and I feel like it deals with real stuff. I mean,
how about this Matter of Time?
That one was one I did years ago. Actually, it was I was background on that in a few scenes. It's got Sean Astin, Rudy,
Okay.
is in it. I didn't get to meet him; he wasn't there the day I worked, but it's a really cool story. The main character kind of deals with time travel and just kind of looks at his life through different areas, and still waiting on it to come out. I think it's coming soon, but sometimes these things you film it and it's years. You know, I did a movie called The Senior, just background again, and that was during the middle of 1883. That would have been 2020,
Right.
2021 maybe. So it's coming out next month, I think.
Well, that's cool. You know, I was in the reboot of Dallas.
Okay, yeah.
So I was given a part, Detective Riley Anderson. I still remember the name. I don't remember a whole lot of people's names, but I remember mine. And, was given the gun and the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I was one of two actors that grabbed Bobby Ewing and put him up against the wall and say, "Calm down, sir, calm down."
Yeah.
Right. And so we had an episode watching party at the house.
Yeah.
Had the whole family there and all excited. And that scene, I didn't even know, got completely cut.
Oh, no.
And they were then in his Bobby Ewing's attorney's office. And somebody there pushes him up against the wall and goes, "Calm down,
Oh,
Bobby,
they reshot
calm
it.
down."
Yeah.
To that, and so I was like, "I'm not going to be in this thing." I whispered that to my wife, and she goes, "Well, maybe they'll still say it." I say, "They're not going to say the same line twice. That's going to be silly for It'd be almost like an outtake. Everybody pushing him up against the wall." So, have you experienced any of that?
Absolutely, yeah. There was quite a few scenes on 1883 that we filmed, and that there's the camera, it's right here, and and I'm like, man. And there was one I thought was I don't know why I thought it was cool, but I really couldn't wait to see it, and it got cut. But it was a night shoot. We were all sitting around a campfire, and they had like this Slavic band with fiddles and stuff come in, and it's just me and those guys and a couple other backgrounds sitting around a campfire, and it's a close up, and we're like smoking these crude looking cigarettes, and they're playing these songs. Well, this particular take, they were playing a very different version, but it was familiar enough to recognize it, but the Yellowstone theme song.
Okay.
And it was such a cool musical piece, and I was like, man, I can't wait to see that. It's gonna be a really cool scene. Didn't make it. And we had a few fight scenes in there that didn't make it. Maybe they would show a snippet here and there, but or when we crossed the river, we did that for, I think that whole shot was like a week of work, running around on the rocks and all this stuff, and a lot of the things I wanted to see on that didn't make it. Of course, when you're background, you have to kind of accept that, it's the actors in this thing, this is their deal, and
plus you don't know if sound screwed it up or what they were shooting didn't come out what it looked like, or the vision. But I think it's just wonderful that you're doing it, man.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, what's scarier, fighting a fire or camera red dot?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with camera red dot.
Really?
I'm getting. I got to where the one of the things I had to learn before I could just progress, I feel like, was to calm down. And a matter of fact, it was an interview with Jack Nicholson back. This is probably 20 years old, and they're asking him kind of what he does to get into preparation, and he's like, he said, you got to relax. You know how he says it, and he said, all these actors walking around and they're looking at their watch and they're just pacing around. He goes, I don't have to look at my watch. I know it's 2:30, kind of thing. And so kind of, it's funny, but it's like, you do. You have to know your space. You have to. And if you prepare enough for a scene, whether it's for class, whether it's for a film or TV or a commercial, if you prepare enough, you just kind of go, I know my stuff. Have fun with it. Don't get worked up. Worst thing that happens is we cut and we reshoot the thing,
I think that's a great advice on life in general.
It is. And what you were saying earlier was a true thing too, about telling yourself you are.
Yeah.
The first time, like when I sat down on Vindication, you know, I had such a small part, but I was nervous, you know, and I was like, I'm a fireman. I'm not an actor. What am I doing here? What if I screw this up? You know, and wait a minute. Yeah, I've been training for years at this point. I know what I'm doing. I am an actor. You know, well, I'm not a leading man or anything like that, but I would still be doing it if I wasn't getting paid. So it's like, I am an
You need
actor.
to take that out too. You need to take that out. You are a leading man. I mean, firefighter, you're everything that those actors wish they were. You know, I mean, seriously, and you have to. There is a sense of cockiness that you have to be in any kind of show business or out in front or anything else. But do your thing and then put a smile on your face with it, man. All right. Well, I love the fact that you're doing all this stuff, you know, and I want to have you back on here because we didn't even get to the writing portion.
Sure, I'd love to.
And, you know, I love to write as well. I love adding those commas. But, you know, in my act, my catchphrase now, you haven't seen it since the cruise ship, but I finally have a catchphrase, and it's seemed smart at the time. 5 little words. Because I look back on everything that I've done in my life, the good and the bad, and I can justify all of it with seemed smart at the time. Do you have a real seemed smart at the time moment?
Got a lot of them. Couple come to mind. I'm going to share one. I'll share the another one with you next time. I would say seemed smart at the time. We kind of a long story, but me and my wife are divers. I've been diving my whole life, and I love underwater video, photography, all that. And we used to, before our daughter was born, we would go a couple times a year to the Bahamas and dive and spend every day diving. And we planned a trip pre-COVID, ended up getting pushed back because of COVID a few times, and then had to move resorts. And we were going to the Exuma, smaller island, and it wasn't where we wanted to go. We were happy to go, you know, and we get there, but my wife's 4 months pregnant. She can't dive. She can't drink. So I did all the diving and the drinking for the both of us. And what I found out is I am not funny to her when she's not drinking. I think I'm hilarious. But I apparently wore her out that trip. But it was just a very odd trip. We get there and they said, "Hey, the country's getting shut down Friday. You gotta get out of here. Where COVID's on the uptick. You gotta go home." I'm like, man. And so it was just an odd trip, a lot of storms. The diving was sketchy, getting in and out of the boat, big swells. The visibility was bad, so, you know, sharks all over the Bahamas. You're going to see one every dive. Except on this one, you didn't see them until they were here. Wow. You know, so it was a little sketchy. Watched a shark attack the last day I was there. This guy got bit on the beach by a shark. And that's one thing.
You were on the beach, not the shark.
This guy, yeah, he was like 60 or something years old. He'd never been in the water, terrified of the ocean. And he gets in thigh deep water and get a chunk taken out of his calf. Wow. And I've been doing the firefighter gig a while, and you tune out when you're in paramedic school or whatever when they start talking about, you know, jellyfish and shark bites and all that. You're just like, if I've got to deal with a shark attack in Fort Worth, there's something drastically wrong. But so just an odd day. It was the last day, and we go to the airport, which is about the size of this room. And this fireman I'd met on the trip sees me, and he goes, "Hey, man, let's go to the bar across the street." Okay, we got about an hour. And we get to the bar, and I'd had a few glasses of rum that day, so I'm going to stick with rum. I'm no longer a drinker, and this is one of the main reasons why. So I'm sitting there at the bar, and I walk up, and I said, "I'll have some rum." And this guy says, "You want some rum, man, or you want some rum?" And I said, "Let's go with the second, So he reaches under the bar and pulls out this bottle. I don't know if it's glass or plastic, but it's wrapped in hockey tape. It says rum on it. Someone wrote on it, and it had a skull and crossbones. And I'm thinking, oh, Bahamas, pirates, Jolly Roger, I think it meant something else, the skull and crossbones. So he pours this thing, and I remember nothing after this. I don't know what the heck was in this thing. I have no idea. But I wake up, and we're landed in Miami, and we're in this little plane, so it's just 2 rows. My wife's sitting in front of me. And I wake up, and I feel great. Well, my wife, I turn around, and she is mad. she's mad. And she doesn't get mad, you know, so something had to have gone on. And so I started talking to her, and she was like, "You are ridiculous." I said, "What do you mean I was ridiculous?" She said, "You couldn't get your shoes on and off. They asked for your passport. You handed him some cash. You were making fun of everybody that you could see, you know, ears or whatever." And that is not me at all. You know, I don't like to do stuff like that, you know. And she said, "Yeah." She was like, "You almost got detained in the Bahamas, and I had to fly. I figure out how to get you out of whatever, you
Bahama jail."
Yeah, and you know, and I don't remember any of this, but she said I was falling over. It was just ridiculous. So that was it. It seemed smart at the time. Seemed like a fun thing to do at the time was to I can handle this. You know,
That's awesome.
But something I found out later: rum in the Bahamas is not rum in the United States. It's about double the strength that we've got here, you know. But yeah, seemed smart at the time. But it's funny to talk about now, just at home, and you know, her laughing about it. But she wasn't laughing then.
Well, does she laugh now though at it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's that's the beauty and I guess the curse of alcohol is that I've had some of the greatest times that I can't remember. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the other thing that I quit doing is apologizing for a good night. The one rule that my wife and I have is that there is no recap the next day. So that whole, last night you drank, blah, 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 blah. I don't do it to her. She don't do it to me. And we're not big drinkers anymore. You know, when I was working on the cruise ships quite a bit, but I don't believe in the recap. I think that was taught to us to feel guilt. And I'm not going to feel guilty about a good time anymore. Yeah. I'm going to pay the price myself at my age. But yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah.
Listen.
It never lets me forget it.
My brother, it is nothing but a pleasure to have you in here.
Same here.
I feel like we will talk off air about writing and all these other things and bring you back in. For those of you who want to follow Brad, he's on IMBD. Now, do you have a website or have
I don't
you got
have a website. I do have an Instagram. It's Brad_wisdom with a Z because the S was taken. So Brad_wisdom.
Yeah. And we'll put a link on, obviously, my website and reddirtcomedy.com. So for Brad and me, for you guys out there, thanks again for tuning in. We'll come again next week with more talk on the Red Dirt Comedy Show. And until then, adios and adios.
Thanks again for listening. For tour tickets and to join the Red Dirt Comedy Nation at reddirtcomedy.com. Till next time, adios, Red Dirt Nation.